What's going on, guys? This is Kyle with SMR Collectibles. I'm here with Anthony Lombardi.
What's going on, everyone? How are you? You may know me as Poketrainernexus on the internet.
So we're going to ask how you got into this.
So, typical 90s kid, grew up watching Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Beyblades, Metabots, Gundam Wing, pretty much any anime on Cartoon Network or even on Fox or on Channel 11 in the mornings. I was watching. It's a typical 90s kid. I love Pokemon, collected the cards, saved my collection. And basically in 2012, I got back into the hobby and I started seriously focusing on it in 2019, around the time I was started to work remote, due to global events, things like that.
Yeah, we're at the Melville Collectibles show today. Anthony's got a lot of stuff with him today. I guess show us a little bit what you have with you today.
Yeah, so I've got a bunch of graded slabs. Love BSA, love Mew, love Squirtle. Got some cool ones too. Like Charizard, this. I'm very passionate about the hobby. I'm very active in the community in Pokemon. I stream quite often, once a week, and I'm constantly posting on Instagram about the hobby. I love the trading card hobby.
Show us a couple of these little Pokemon balls with you.
Yeah, so I've got these
pretty sweet
crystal Pokeballs here, and they look really cool when you put them on top of the base and they light up. It's probably hard to see from this angle, but
I'm sure you got a couple on your desk at home.
Yeah, they're really fun, but just don't throw them, guys.
They're pretty heavy.
They're really heavy.
Honest,
Like
yeah.
it really hurts someone with this.
Now, which one is your favorite card? Do you have a favorite one, or something you're chasing in the hobby?
So first edition Blastoise, Squirtle was always the starter that I picked growing up, and I played the original red, blue games, and subsequently the yellow as well. So first edition Blastoise, I have an 8, so I'm chasing a 10.
Okay.
But yeah, I just really love the hobby, and I've been very active.
How much of a price difference is from an 8 to a 10?
Oh, you're talking quite a bit. A few thousand at least. Yeah, between the two. Between an 8 and a 10. But interestingly enough, with Blastoise, the original evolution line for Squirtle was not Blastoise. There was actually a whole nother, and I did a video on it on my Instagram. There was actually a whole different evolution line originally, but then they canceled it last minute and moved Blastoise as the third. So that's one of the reasons I like it as well, is there's some interesting history behind it. I'm into the lore, I'm into all the conspiracy things with Pokemon, and just that information that's not out there to the general public that you have to dig out to find out about. I'm kind of into that as well.
Awesome, and we're going to put Anthony's tags on here as well. They'll be underneath in the third title.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit more how you got your background and
Yeah.
more in depth.
So I do a lot on social media. Back in 2012 or 2013, I started going to garage sales and just looking at things. I found a box of really old comic books, and I'm talking from the 20s, 30s. I guess it's what you would call gold and silver era comic books. At the time, I had no idea what that was. So I bought them for, I think it was like $100 or $200, and I took them to some. I literally went on Google and typed in comic book store, and I took it to it. And I asked him, I was like, "So can you tell me what I have here?" And he offered me $2,000 for it. And now, in that moment, I realized there's two things. I shouldn't have to go to someone's garage sale to figure out what they have for sale, So I started making Facebook groups so that people could sell things, without having to actually travel to a store or, And what ended up happening is it ended up blowing up into the Long Island for Sale Facebook group, which we have 80,000 members now. I also have the Long Island Yard Sale group. I also have the Long Island Real Estate group, and I also have the Long Island Used Cars group, I do a lot online. I try to make a bunch of sub-communities so that if someone who's interested in XYZ Pokemon cards, I also have the Long Island Collectibles Facebook group. They have an outlet they can go to buy stuff. And that's really where I got my start in social media, and that's how I was able to project myself onto the Pokemon platform that you guys see me on today.
Awesome.
Yeah, and one of the things we really like to do is showcase businesses, local businesses on Long Island, because that's really what, the core of Long Island is small business owners just trying to, make a living, and it's really nice when you get feedback from them, like, oh yeah, I was able to, grow my business in your group, or, I was able to, sell some houses through one of your groups and stuff, and it's giving back really to the community, because they've helped support me in this endeavor, and I've supported them in theirs, and that's really what I'm all about.
What's some advice you would give to a young collector? We have some young kids walking around, getting into the hobby. What's some advice you would give to them who's just starting out?
So for strictly collecting, one of the things growing up in the 90s that I was not taught, always penny sleeve and top load your cards, for starters, or even when you put them in the binders, right? You want to put them in specific binders that can fit a penny sleeve in it. When I was growing up, they had the binders, but they weren't designed in such a fashion for people to store their cards in.
Yeah, I remember putting the cards front and back in the sleeves, and you get 3 rows of 3.
Right. Another thing I would recommend is go on YouTube, go on Facebook, and research as much as you can about cards. You can check eBay solds to find out what something last sold for, to find out the value of it. I'll give you guys an example. I just purchased the Zap deck. Before I bought it, I went on eBay. The last one sold for $400. So my offer to the guy was for $400. That's a good way to guesstimate how much something is worth nowadays, and it's what someone recently paid for it. And then also condition is everything in terms of grading. What people will do is they will buy cards or they'll buy packs, open them up, they'll get them graded by a company like PSA, and then they'll either save it for their personal collection or they'll list it for sale.
Now, grading is always a big issue. Everyone's curious to what grade it might be. How long did it take for you to kind of eyeball it and see, this one I think is a 9, this one's a 10? You were pretty quick earlier looking at your Pikachu cards.
Yeah, it took me a couple of years, to be honest with you. It took me probably 2 or 3 years studying the hobby, the market, and then studying the grades themselves. I would say the way I always look at things, I'm very harsh, and that's always been worked out well for me. I've always set my expectations a little lower, and then I've always gotten cards higher than what I've assumed them to be. So you really have to look at the card as a whole. You have to look at the surface, the corners, the centering, and it'll give you a good idea, kind of, okay, does it check all the boxes? Is it perfectly centered? Is the surface good? Are there any dings on the corners? Is there any print bleeds, any scratches? It took me, like I said, a couple of years to get that understanding.
Awesome. Anything else you want to share? Otherwise, I think that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, just I'm really happy to be here, and I do this so that my kids will have a hobby that we can share, in the future. So a lot of this it's fun for me. It's a business for some people else, but I just really enjoy the hobby, and I enjoy going to shows like this one, Melville Collectible Show. And you guys can catch me online, and I look forward to seeing you guys there.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.